Barney Fife in Gleason, where I come from. You know, we've got an Otis, and we've got an Andy, and we've got an Aunt B, and Opie. We've got them. Everybody has them, and they were able to capture that, and I think that's why it's been the greatest comedy that's ever been.
Who could forget the fumbling deputy Barney Fife, or the naive gas station attendant Gomer Pyle, and of course, Gomer's cousin, Goober, played by the Broadway-educated actor George Lindsey.
Wouldn't you love to have an Aunt B? Wouldn't you love to go down to the filling station and have a bottle of pop with Goober? Wouldn't you like to have a sheriff that doesn't have to carry a gun and have a son that, you know, that is probably the best son in the world? And I might add that if I'd been nicer to that little redheaded boy, today I would be an astronaut.
Well, Lindsey may not be an astronaut, but he established himself as a premier American funny man. The cast of The Andy Griffith Show continued the tradition of those early rural entertainers that preceded them and opened the door for the new wave of country comics that filled the big and small screen for the next 20 years.
When you think about what we do and what Andy Griffith did, there is a comparison there because, you know, they didn't tell jokes and we don't tell jokes, but they do show, you know, how silly real life is, and that's what we've always done.
Why do we still flip over and watch Andy and Mayberry? Are we trying to grasp something that's new, or are we trying to grasp something that's always been there? It's comedy that's always been there, and you'll watch the same episode over and over and over again, and it's hysterical. It's funny. You know what the punchline's going to be, and you still laugh.
Throughout the next decade, the most successful situation comedies were CBS's rural sitcoms. Petticoat Junction, Green Acres, and the Beverly Hillbillies celebrated the small-town values and the simple way of life that many Americans long for.
The Beverly Hillbillies was like vaudeville. It was a lot like Hee Haw, you know. It was written and played so broad. There was the same golden age of what I call the golden age of television.
For some, the shows were an escape route from the turbulent 60s.
Stories that are simple, they're not complicated, they're not embarrassing to watch, and they were from simpler times. And I think people like that.
As far as television goes, no one show did more to expand the careers of country comedians than Hee Haw.
We got along so well on it, and it's sort of a family-like thing, you know, and it was just a lot of fun, a whole lot of fun.
During its 23-year run, it showcased the greatest comic legends of our time.
I jumped up out of the cornfield with Marie Osmond, and I said, Marie, you remind me of my uncle so-and-so. I said, you remind me of his wife. She's so pretty, he couldn't keep his hands off of her. And she said, how did he get any work done? I said, well, he fired his hands and bought him a tractor.
And it was more cornpone humor, more middle America humor, rather than Rowan and Martin, whose humor always had an edge, and the censors were sitting there with their bleep buttons.
Yeah. You didn't find that on Hee Haw. All you
Politically
found was,
incorrect
all you
for
found
their day.
Was gloom, despair, and agony on. I mean, that was it. You know, I mean, that was funny.
And it's the closest thing to vaudeville you'll ever get to do. It was fabulous. They just let me run amok with it.
Listen here, Terry Bradshaw, I heard you've been saying some things about me, and I'm going to make you take them back. See that?
I said you couldn't sing, I said you couldn't act, and were a no-good bum, and I reiterate.
Now, there's a real moment of comic history, huh, Eastwood? You know, whether it's presented in a town square, on a stage, on the radio, on the television, hey, perhaps even the silver screen, humor in the heartland has always found a comfortable kinship with our traditional family values and our religious faith.
The thing I'm the most proudest of in show business, that is, I have been able to be successful and not compromise with one moral conviction and be true to my church and my wife and my children. And I, in my heart, feel like I've done it like God wanted me to do it. And I ain't put on my tombstone, he done it God's way.
there's a closeness between country music and gospel music, as there is between country humor and the new crop of gospel comedians, which are proliferating the country now, like Mark Lowry and Clayton Scott.
I did a children's pastor's banquet not long ago. And when you're in Texas and you're looking for a good place to go eat Mexican food, never ask a skinny person where to go eat. They don't know. If they knew, they wouldn't be so skinny. Find the fattest hogs you can and ask them where the trough is. I'm telling you.
You know, my whole life was just hogs. That may sound kind of strange, but it was just hogs, hogs, hogs. My whole life was wrapped up in them crazy old hogs. But then some changes took place in my life. I tell you, the Lord, He knows how to get your attention. And after I got saved, He told me to get in yonder and write Him a book, and I did. And I brought a copy of it here to show you. It's called Pigs in the Bible.
I remember when I was a kid going to see the tent revivals, you know. I mean, it was great entertainment. They sang, you know, they prayed, and they told jokes.
The ties between our laughter and our religious roots are unmistakable.
Plus, Ricky Skaggs has done a tremendous amount, because if you look at the shape of his head, that's just funny, you know, and it just works together.
Oh, my shoe is completely clean. Was that good? It was good. I am an actor. A thespian. Yes, yes. You try and keep it clean. You try and keep it clean. Yes, yes. Most of the time it's...
Good evening, friends. Constant always is the demand of stage, screen, and radio for new personalities. Every professional was an amateur once. The amateur of today is the star of tomorrow. The wheel of fortune spins. Around, around she goes, and where she stops, nobody knows.
Well, as you can see, the tradition continues. Performers with a country flavor permeate the entertainment industry. Instead of being seen as pure country enjoyed only by the rural population, Heartland humor is now presented by artists who are country-born for the most part, but city-wise.
I cannot say that I'm Southern like Justin Wilson or Jerry Clower or you know, Minnie Pearl. That was real country. Country comedy. That's what I consider country comedy. I consider ourselves country people who do comedy.
I think that's where comedy has always found its place in country music and in life in general, is it gives you an opportunity to take a breath and get everything off your shoulders for a few minutes.
I don't think there ever will not be country comedy. We talk Southern, but comedy is just comedy.
Country music and down-home humor have forever been woven into the fabric that is often called Americana. Country comedy, it tickles the funny bone, it warms the heart, it's gentle, it's safe, usually doesn't shock, charms. Humor in the Heartland has remained faithful to the advice given to Minnie Pearl by the solemn old judge when he said, "Just love them, honey, and they'll love you back." You know what? He was right. We've always loved them, and we always will. I'm Terry Bradshaw.
Two fellas in a bar. One said to the other one, "Excuse me, you look very familiar." The other one said, "I was just going to say the same thing to you. Are you from around here?" He said, "Yeah, I'm from North Nashville." He said, "I'm from North Nashville. Where'd you go to high school?" He said, "Overton." He said, "I went to Overton." "What year did you graduate?" He said, 1974. He said, "I finished in 1974. The bartender's using the phone. He's talking. He says, "No, nothing's going on here tonight except the Wilson twins are in here drunk again."
If your family tree does not fork, you might just be a redneck. If your mama keeps a spit can on the ironing board, you are a redneck. It ain't no might to it. Woo!
My wife came in the other day and said, I think we have water in the carburetor. I said, water in the carburetor? You don't know the difference in a carburetor and a gas tank. Where's the car? She said, in the pool.
We've never determined that we were both funny. It's pretty much. I don't think anyone needs to determine that we're both funny, but I know I'm funny, and I've carried him longer than his mama did.
Is that funny?
But I think a lot of it is that I'm just hanging in there with him till he gets his land back.
We're not both funny.
No.
I'd like to stay and talk to you a little bit more, but I got to go check on my mother-in-law. She just had facelift, and Doc come back in the recovery room. He said, I've got good news and great news. She said, what is it? He said, the facelift went perfect. And the great news is, I had enough skin left over to make you a pair of cowboy boots. See y'all later. Come on, Banjo. Oh, no.
Ernie Ford saying good night and bless your little pea-picking heart.